welcome back, everyone. I have Brannon Potts here from Fort Worth, Texas, and he's from the ORAT school community. So, welcome, Brannon.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm
But,
excited to do this, man. I'm excited. So, why don't you tell my audience a little bit about your story and maybe your portfolio?
well, I started investing in real estate really just 4 years ago. And what I try to share is here I was 48 years old. It's not too late. And in 4 years have built a portfolio now of four properties, 10 units, but four properties and revenue of $207,000 a year in rental revenue just off of four properties.
I love that. So, you're saying in 4 years you built this portfolio. So, I mean, you were just cruising along the rest of your life before this. I mean, what were you doing before this started?
So before that, I was in real estate in that I owned a real estate team from 2010 to just recently sold July 1st. But prior to that, I had my interest in finance and real estate. I guess it all started in my 20s when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Millionaire Next Door, got into banking and was a VP of commercial lending. Met my wife there at the bank. We've always worked together since the day we've met. So she's here with me. And she was a mortgage loan officer. I was in commercial finance, Then became a CFO of a company, helped sell that company. 2010, what is anybody doing? Nobody's hiring in 2010. And so I had an interest in real estate and said, I'm going to get in. But unfortunately, I was busy building the business, not getting real estate. I have regrets. Boy, see those prices from the 2010s on, but I did get in it, jumped into it. I say I purchased the first lots 2019, began building the first fourplex, finished it in 2021. So
I
that's to,
love that.
you know,
Y- Yeah, I mean, we've all wished we bought real estate a lot sooner, right? Or held on to it
right,
maybe.
right.
But you follow Michael Zuber, one rent at a time, the school community, and he always talks about, W-2 employees and entrepreneurs, right? So it sounds like you went the route of building a business and whatnot. So what's your take on that as far as the entrepreneur side, or can everyone start a business?
No, I mean, I would agree. Each of us have different skills and talents. Everyone's a little bit different in our strengths. I've been a natural in building businesses. I'll joke my very first business was in junior high selling bubble gum on the black market in school. You know, but but from there I had a small little it was back in college. I had the original food trucks. I kind of had a food truck in college and did had employees, did all the accounting with those T ledgers from accounting and learned how to do that. And then that's just been my natural, though I have been a W-2 employee when I worked for the bank and then grew to building the real estate team business, sold that, grew and built a property management business, started that in 2017 and have hired that team actually to manage my properties too. So that's what I tell my owners. I'm like, I'm hiring them too. I picked them myself, but then started building in earnest because at that moment I didn't have any retirement other than the business. I mean, you could say that was my retirement, part of my retirement plan, but I didn't have any real assets. And so I need to get into this in earnest. And what happened was I was driving to the office. I get a call from a guy happened to be out of Washington State. And he says, "Hey, I've got these three lots for sale. I'll I'll sell. I need to get them sold, and I'll share some numbers because it's always jaw dropping." He says, "I'll sell these three lots for 75,000." And I'm heading that way, actually going right by it. And I'm thinking 75,000 for these three multifamily lots. That's a pretty decent price. One's on a commercial corner. I'm walking it. I'm calling my wife and I said, "Hey, I just found lots. I think I'm going to buy it. Are you okay?" She says, "Let's go with it." So we began talking to this person. About a week later, he calls, and I don't really know what happened, but something happened. And he says, "I need to sell them right now. Will you buy all three for 48,000? I said, for sure. I didn't tell a soul until I had it in contract. Put that in contract. Took me about a year and a half, maybe it was 2 years. I said, I need to get this dirt producing money. It's just costing me money. So began the first project, the fourplex with the bank, built that out. No money down other than the lot. So I built a fourplex for $16,000 of my money in it. Built the next one. So right after that, finished the next one, the triplex, learned some lessons. I learned the fourplex I did, it was up the downstairs and upstairs units, and then we have a lot of noise complaints. So I said, okay, I'm going to learn those lessons. I built the next one, they're townhouse style, one right after another. So I built the triplex. We finished that July of last year. One of the things I learned with the city wouldn't let me do four. I couldn't put 4 units on it. I said, okay, I'm going to put these storage units on the side. And they just looked at me and they asked, well, are you going to offer them to the public? I said, no, I'm offering them to my renters. And they just sat there and looked at me. But I found that those are producing. I've got 4 of the 5 that are producing rent. It only cost me an additional 20,000 to build those 5 storage units, 10 by 10 storage units. And so it's producing $200 a month for 20,000. If you put that number, that's really good numbers.
Yeah.
I keep one for myself that I need for different things. And then this recent one I just finished last week. We got the green tag for occupancy last week, and I sent you pictures and I build them very nice. I really do what I would consider upper end builds. I want to build them where I'm very proud of what I built. So I even pick the colors. I pick all the material using shiplap. I'm using really nice fixtures. I'm making it where it stands out among the other rentals. And I've been on average getting $50 to $75 more per rental because of the quality. Now they don't always know that I own it. This one that I just built. So we finally got the finished pictures on Thursday. No, sorry, Wednesday. Thursday morning, I get a request for showing. My property manager knows I like to go show them first because I want to hear feedback. I never let them know I'm the owner because I just want to hear honest feedback. And the next morning, she says, we love it. We're going to fill out the application. We want a 2-year lease. She said, we looked at 3 other properties. Yours is actually the smallest, but we could tell your owner really cared about how the finish out was done and did all the little details. So we did like a herringbone pattern in the master shower. We did a waterfall tile, a smoke penny tile on the flooring. We do lots of little and glass door showers. We're doing lots of little things. Even my own wife, we don't have this in our house. So
Wait, but let's stay right there though, because we kind of talked about it a bit off camera, right? There's kind of also a mindset or a reason why you're putting a lot of detail or thought into your build to rent and things, right?
yes, maybe it's just growing up. Well, '08, the Great Recession really marked me. And I've learned so much since then because it was a hard time in our lives. And I was really in fear of losing our house. It was that tough. Our business was declining, and so I'm building them. And my heart is I want to be proud of what I own. But on the other hand, I'm looking at them. If I had to live in one of them, would I want to live there? And so the finish out is, I would call it a custom finish out, but I'm thinking through it of the materials, will they last long? But that's why even on this latest one, we did a new thing we haven't done before. It's stained concrete floors that look like wood planks. Everybody had that. I can show you the pictures. Everybody thinks it's wood plank flooring, and I tell them no, it's stained concrete. So there I looked at it for this example versus LVP, it was about 70 cents more a square foot. So it's about another $1,000. But you only have to reseal it every 10 years. So it was a long-term play because I really believe in buy and hold. The other reason I do builds brand new, I love design, I love building. It's really some people don't, and I get that. For me, it doesn't even feel like work. I love it that much of all the design. So I pick the tile work, I pick all the coloring, but I'm looking for my future for my children. I've got 4 children. I would rather, when my wife and I are gone, passing on homes that are maybe 25, 30 years old versus if I buy them, for me, this is just my choice. If I'm buying 25, 30-year-old properties now, or even 20-year-old properties, by the time I'm gone and passing those on, they're 50 years old with, that's going to have more maintenance than a 30-year-old property. So I do think about those things. That's a piece of it, but I really enjoy building.
I like that. So, kind of going back to like you were talking about, you started like 4 years ago from the investing side, and you had these businesses. Why did it seem like it took so long to get into the investing side of real estate?
I was solely focused on building out the businesses. That was primary where my attention was. I tend to be mono focused. I struggle doing multiple things. So I was really big into growing the property management and the sales side, and that was my retirement. And then I got those at the level where I could have some more free times when that I was able to start thinking about it.
I love that. Yeah, I think, like we always talk about, there's no one way to do things, right? And some people leverage their W-2, you building businesses. So like you said, you did too. Like you were in the bank, W-2, you went the entrepreneur route, built businesses. Do you think like, there's different mindsets there, or, how would you determine or how would you decipher the differences in the two?
I'm not certain how I would answer that in that I don't know much. The differences, I do think ahead quite a bit. I do think long term, 5, 10, 20 years. I'm always thinking ahead, but I'm also analyzing the big picture. I'm really good at seeing big picture and different pieces, how they move together. Um, I ended up getting a good friend that's my general contractor. Though I use some of my vendors, I have a general contractor. And if you don't mind, I can give you some details of this latest build if that's
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
So we built this one and how I have it is of course on a spreadsheet. We I look for lots that are in that fifth for me in this area, 15 to $20,000 a lot with utilities based off the rents. It's really a metric of the rents. And then I reverse engineer it. I was able to build this one. I bought this one at $15,000 with the closing from the purchase of the lot to the construction loan, interest carry, and getting all the way to the 30-year mortgage. We closed this morning on the 30-year all in cost $201,000 on a 1380 square foot house. So that's about $146 a square foot. I knew in the market over there, I could get $2,100 in rent. The lender gave me 75% of appraisal. So my actual cash in is less than $10,000 and I've just acquired it. It appraised at 262,000 on a $201,000 build. So I call it ACV, after construction value. All of my properties I've been able to build in that 75 to 80% value. So I get this forced equity of an extra 20, 25%, and I don't have to put much down. So I'm maybe putting in 5% down on each build. So I have very little of my own cash in it, other than if you want to call it sweat equity of building them. But I call it a labor of love because I enjoy it. So it really does not feel like work at all.
So, as you mentioned earlier, you are in the Texas market.
Texas
So
market.
I would think a lot of people would have questions about dealing with property taxes, insurance, or rising costs of those things. So is there any
I agree
way,
with you. So
yeah,
I look at all those things because property tax is higher here. It's running around 2.25% to 2.5%. I've I've been able to do it on this one property now, and I've got two more lots that I'm about to start construction here in the next 30 days, and I'm acquiring another three lots here maybe in the next 2 weeks. It is the little niches is this property is in a subdivision just outside of the city limits, so I don't have city property tax. So the tax rate on this property is only 1.1% versus around 2.5. Well, that margin is another couple thousand, $2,500 back into my pocket because I'm still getting market rents as if I were in town. And so just I look for those little wedges in opportunities. And that's where I found this one. And I said, wow, this makes it even better. When I saw the tax rate, I was like, I'm making an additional bit of money. And so when I rented it at 2165, I'm starting at the beginning with about $310 in excess cash flow. And that's over and above saving for vacancy, repairs, and capex. And what I do, because they're brand new, I start at 7% as my allocation, and every year I add a percent. And I will eventually, in 8 years, get to the 15%. I have set up a reserve. I started that from the very beginning. Dion just crystallized it in how to put it together. But I was already doing those things. I believe in reserves because oh wait, I believe in reserves, and it protects the properties. Plus, I was in lending and I saw it. Those are the things we asked for. So that's my cash on cash return on this 5% is 30%. That's my yield on this property, but I only put 5% down.
wow, it's a great deal. I think people are going to be reaching out to you after this.
So
But like,
that's what I do.
no, no, yeah, but like you also mentioned, you look forward, you like to look in advance, and those are all the type of things like you're saying. Yes, property taxes might be high. Yes, insurance costs might be going up, but it's something that you're just preparing for and knowing your market, and that's how you're navigating through it. Where someone else just getting in that market might find it challenging because those are certain things that they may not be as aware of as yourself. So, like you're saying, it's good. It's great knowing your market and just connecting with people that are actually doing it in those markets.
And I look at the big picture from my finance background. So that's why I look at my overall number. I'm at 207,000. My intentional goal right now is to get to 20 units. That should be close to $500,000 in revenue, say right now. Then I'm taking that number and I do what's called common sizing of all my expenses, property taxes, insurance, allocation for reserves, loans. And right now on these doors, I'm at around 16% net on the revenue. And I really believe what you focus on expands. So what I'm doing is walking through that and saying, okay, over the next coming years, as we see rates coming back down, like this one, I got at 7.5% today. I anticipate with all what they're saying over the next couple of years, we should see rates maybe in the upper fives is what I'm seeing and thinking it's probably where it's going to hit, maybe down to 5.5. And if there's those 50 basis points spread for an investment property, I'll refinance them at 6. But I want to eventually, by the time I'm retired in 5 years, I want to get where my bottom line net, I'm at around 30%. And well, I'm sorry, getting to 30, between 30 and 35. I'm sorry, I should be 35. That's what I was thinking. Just said it wrong. But that puts me close to $200,000, about 175,000 on $500,000 in rents. We know they will go up over time. A portion of it's fixed. I want to get back to 50% loan to value as I'm getting close to retirement. I'm managing that right now. I'm at 64%. I will manage that over time to when it's time to retire, be at that 50% and live off that cash flow plus the sale of a couple of businesses, plus maybe whatever's going on with property management. Maybe I've got the kids in the business. One of them's about to start a small portion of work for me here in the next week. She's 18. My wife's going to train her. So I'm thinking about not just today, but I'm actually thinking 2 and 3 decades out for my family. I believe, as the Bible says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And I'm trying to think through those things. How do I create taking care of my wife when I'm gone? I'm 8.5 years older than her. How do I do that? But then how do I train my children to be good stewards of money too? So I have them read Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens. I've had them play cash flow. They're learning things. My son is starting his own lawn mowing business. I'm gonna let him mow my yards first, let him learn on my yards, but I won't give him any money. He has to save up his own money to buy his lawn mowing equipment. I'm letting him use my storage unit, but he's already saving up at 12. He's saving up his money to buy his lawn mowing equipment. Then he'll take better care of it. He'll learn disciplines of investing in his equipment to make money mowing some lots and maybe build a little business from there.
I love that. So yeah, I have that same vision for my son also, and it seems like it's probably, I wouldn't say easier, but maybe, because they're younger, they're more impressionable. It's easier to have them start seeing that vision. But you kind of touched on it earlier. So like your wife, was that always an easy road to get her on board? Like you mentioned that you saw these properties, you called her up and said, "I want to," and she said, "Yeah, let's do it." Was that how it always was?
She has always been supportive, so much so this last one we signed today, she's never even seen it. She's never even been there. I'm like, are you sure you don't want to see the property you're signing a loan on? And I guess she trusts me enough and knows what I've been doing. She's never even been to the property.
But so even from the, like, maybe when you first met her, or when you
No,
were
I mean she's been to some of the properties, but this latest one, which is in another town, she's never even seen it, and she signed the construction loan and the mortgage, and never even has seen the property. I don't even know if she's seen the pictures.
well, I mean, but was she always on board with it? Because it seems like that's the struggle for a lot of couples or married. They
She
getting
has
their
been,
spouse on board.
yeah, she has been very supportive. She knows I have that mindset real estate. I've talked to her and the family about why owning real assets are the greatest thing and a protection against printing money and inflation. So she's heard it for years, and she's been to some of my classes where I teach others of it. So she's always been around that. I've always done classes both in real estate for training other real estate agents, but then I've also done it for investors. Part of the reason I teach is for me. If I'm teaching investors how to analyze properties, do you know who gets the most out of it? Me. It really solidifies it and helps me crystallize why it's the best thing. And I'm explaining it to people, and I love the interaction and the challenge that I get from it.
So not only that, we can dig into that pretty soon about like teaching and like why you're doing that. But we also talked about kind of like you felt like you're a hypocrite in a way, talking about real estate. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for a period of time, I'm building this real estate sales team. And of course, my whole income is based off of people buying real estate. And now we have a house, so we did do that. But I just felt that as I was selling people properties and even some of them investment properties, and yet I wasn't doing it, that I felt like a fraud, that I wasn't living out what I'm telling others to do to make my own paycheck. And so I began focusing on that as at a period of time, say, hey, I need to get into this too. But also I was able to see the appreciation over the last 12, 14 years. So I was seeing it and I was seeing others doing very well.
Yeah, we laughed about that off camera because I was talking about how
Yeah.
me being on the agent side, I kind of feel, a lot of times I'm not the greatest agent, or people don't want to hear my message because Hawaii's such a high cost of living area, high real estate prices. I'm always trying to advocate for, investing where your money makes sense, right? And a lot of people don't want to hear that from me, or they want to, they can afford $1 million home, so that's the home that they want to buy. When I'm trying to tell them to buy something smaller. But I love that. So let's go back to the teaching though. So we've connected in the school community, but it
Yes.
sounds
Yeah.
like you're also a maybe not teacher, but you're teaching others on the side about real estate and finance.
Yeah, I do. I've got the class, the way I title it is How to Make Money in Real Estate. And I picked up those concepts of this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is a get wealthy for sure plan. And I'm a big believer in the four properties because people can wrap their minds around four. That doesn't seem too overwhelming. And you can always go past that. And here I am there. I'm at four properties and I plan to go past it because I've gotten through, hey, this really works. And I can see what it looks like 10 years from now and 20 years from now. I'm like, man, I want more of this, you know. But at some point you've got to figure out where's the, where you stop and enjoy life. But that's I really talk to people and I tell them the same thing. It's four. And I can see how that resonates where they don't feel overwhelmed by it. And then I go through how you make money five different ways in real estate and I explain those. It's from the number one, cash flow, we know, the tax benefit, forced appreciation, principal pay down, all those things. I go through all of those and extrapolate it over time. And I then do it to kids, and I talk in a much simpler concepts, but I still explain the similar principles. And what I've done that seems to work is I've taken the cash flow game and I've done this with adults that we'll create a kind of a dinner party and we'll sit down for an hour, play the game, break for dinner. Everybody talk about what they're learning so far with the game, have dinner, and then play it again for another hour. And then after that, I teach because then their minds and their heart is open and receptive to hearing it because that cash flow game really light bulbs usually are going off and you're like, wow, man, I'm doing my life wrong. I can't get out of the rat race. They're learning how to get out of the rat race and it just really opens their minds to be willing to listen. So it's all a prep to getting to me teaching because then I've watched them, they're way more receptive to hearing now.
Yeah, I think great point. I think the one eye-opening thing for me is a lot of times you don't even realize you're in the rat race is what it is, right?
Yes.
Unless you get in these communities like the school communities or other people that are doing investing or real estate, you don't really realize it. You just think you're just doing what everyone else is doing and you're doing fine. And at the end of the day, you look at it like, man, where'd all my money go or what assets do I have? And so that's why I think it's great what you're doing and being in this school community.
And I'm not perfect either, though. I'm
No,
making mistakes too. We all are. And I've seen my income and my expenses creep as our lifestyle has done well. And so from this game is where it hit me again because I was watching my wife and how she played compared to how I played. And I was like, she was focusing on paying down expenses. I was focusing on investments and I said, wow, I need to make a change in our lives. I think I need to focus on both at the same time, growing, but also allocating some money to paying down expenses or debts, bad debt. So I made a combination over the last 2 years. So I've been focusing on reducing our family budget also to get to retirement, doing both at the same time. And I was struggling doing one way, but I wasn't hitting the expenses. And my wife was hitting the expenses. And so that was a big aha that I've had recently in the last year, or I guess a year and a half ago.
I keep joking about it, but maybe I do have to do this. But I think I'm gonna make a dating app with something around the cash flow board game where people, they have to play the game, and that's how you match up with
That's
whoever you're
right.
going on a date with, right? Your financial literacy knowledge and where you fall in that. Are you going to be someone that's focusing on expenses? Are you someone focusing on increasing income? So I might have to look into this further, but it's
Yes.
still my idea now. But again, you start out a business, so maybe we got a partner on something. We got
There
to
you
start this
go. We can
business,
partner
right?
on it. There you go.
But also talking off camera was a lot of fun. So we did connect, and I didn't really realize that you were in Vegas for the first ORAD event. So what was your thoughts on that?
Oh, it was good. I think some of the things I would change again is I would network that much more. I did some networking. I think I will network that much more. And I'm getting to know the community. That school community, you've seen me. I've gotten engaged pretty rapidly because it's around as Michael talks about, it's a tribe. We all have similar mindsets, so we can share, and it feels like you're in a more protected environment. Hey, here's I shared what I've done on this last project. I'm gonna share where I've made mistakes. Get ready for that. I'm gonna say, hey, on this a build I did, I on the triplex, I cashed out, and I cashed it out too tight. So I have no money in it. I still cash flow, but it's tighter than I would like. And if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have. I had the opportunity, and I won't take the full opportunity. I'm trying to balance um, cash flow and getting all my money back out. I got talked into it by my banker, and I should have said, no, I'll take, 30,000 less than you're offering me so that I had a little bit bigger margins, or 50,000 less. Because it was almost like a cash out refi from the beginning. And I wish I wouldn't have done it. So I made that mistake, and I'm willing to share these things as I'm doing my channel, you know, that,
Wait. What are you doing now? Are you sharing it on what?
well, I've got a channel that I literally just launched this weekend
What's the
called
name?
Build the Number Two Rent, all one word, Build to Rent. And my heart is to share victories, but not make it a highlight reel. I'm going to share, hey, I made this mistake. This is what I did wrong, but I'm going to share my projects as I continue on because I still have more, and build it at that channel out, but also teach on financial literacy, um, how the wealthy. When I was in banking, I got to interview multiple deca millionaires, and I got to ask them how they made their money, how they did it. And I'm going to share all those things that really impacted my life.
I love it. Well, I just subscribed. I will
Thank
put all your links down at the bottom. But I also want to say it looks like there's another build to rent. So make sure you put in build to rent Texas, I believe. So your title is build to rent, but I think there's another bigger channel that's actually build to rent in
Maybe
Alvin,
change it to
Texas.
Build to Rent
No,
Texas.
well, as long as you put that in, it'll show up. So that's cool.
Okay.
So anyone out there, go check out Build to Rent Texas, and we'll probably start seeing some new videos from you. But yeah, I wish we met. I wish I knew you were in Vegas. I would have connected with you then.
We'll
As
see
you
you this
can see,
coming next year.
yeah, I mean, as you can see in the school community, I just like to goof around and make trouble to everyone. So I'm just kind
Yep.
of having fun and trying to connecting everyone and trying to help promote everyone. And like you said, like talking about all our mistakes. I think that's more fun, talking about our mistakes and what we would do differently and just sharing our wins, but also sharing our losses. I think that's the fun part about it. But yeah, I love what you're doing. Anyone that wants to invest in Texas or even the build to rent concept, I think they definitely should reach out to you and subscribe to your channel and see what
Yes.
you're doing. And so, but actually, before we wrap things up, so the teaching part of it, is that something you're looking at even making bigger, like a school community for that, or
I don't know yet. I do enjoy it. I'm just kind of getting started with it, and we'll see where that goes because my heart is there to share what I know. And if I can get somebody faster, further faster, that's reward. And I'm more into, as I'm getting closer to my retirement age, I'm looking for things to do where I make an impact on people.
Well, I love what you're doing. I mean, everyone should go follow you. Are you anywhere else on social media? Can they find you, or where can they reach
That's
out to
pretty
you?
much it. Nope, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, everyone go check him out. Hopefully everyone can meet him in Vegas. We'll be in Vegas also for the ORAD event. But I love what you're doing. So yeah, we'll do this again. We'll connect. I think you do have something, a deal you got coming up soon. We can maybe dig into that later on, maybe next month or something. But yeah, we'll do this
Yeah.
again. Thanks for doing this, Brandon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everyone.